Aloha everyone. I just thought I would give you an update on what was happening with the motorcycle. Um, it we've got a bug that to work out. It's nothing major. It's just when I'm getting a phantom current being backfed through the DKD speedometer into my 12-volt system, and so what it's doing is it's lighting up some tail lights, just a real faint glow when the bike's completely turned off. At first I thought it was the main switch for the inverter, because the switch stopped working. You know, I would turn it off. It has a little light in it, and here I'll show you exactly what's going on. Okay, here's my main switch right down in here, and I've been having to disconnect it because of the back feed. Let me show you a little better example here. So I've been turning it off this way so that it wouldn't feed in to the electrical grid. Okay, you can see now the switch isn't even turned on, and yet it's showing a light here. So when I push it in, you know, that's supposed to turn it on, and then when I take it off, it's supposed to turn it off. So what's happening is the reason I'm disconnecting it is because I'm getting a phantom current that's actually feeding this through. Currently this is hooked up so my inverter provides the 12 volt to the 12 volt system. What's actually happening is even when this, you know, to try and get this to turn off, it just doesn't turn off because it's getting fed electricity. When the switch goes off, it's still getting electricity fed back through the inverter back this way, because the switch actually turns on this inverter and then provides all the 12 volt throughout the system here. So what I ended up having to do was trace this down by using my multimeter and disconnecting wires and tracing where the current was from. So by disconnecting this entirely, that takes the 12 volt system theoretically out of the system. So there, that turns off, you see. Well, what happens then is the battery feeds in the 72 volts that goes into the DKD display. And so I don't know if you can see this, but there's a faint glow right there. Oops, that's the high beam. But there's a faint glow right there. That is for the high beam. That shouldn't come on when the 12 volt system's shut down. And you get a faint glow from the LED bulbs, because I've used LED bulbs at night. It became real obvious that this was glowing. And let's see, we can, anyway, by blacking that out, you can just get at night it's kind of an eerie thing. And the other thing is, when I put the kickstand down, the buzzer goes off. Well, that's not supposed to happen. There's not supposed to be any power to that. So what's happening is there's power being fed into the DKD speedometer, and I have my 12 volt turn signals hooked up to it, and I have my headlight hooked up to the speedometer, just so that you can, when you turn the headlight on, or your high beam, low beam indicators indicate. So those are put in, and they're only supposed to be 12 volt. The display is not supposed to affect the 12 volt system, but for some reason we're getting energy backfed through the headlight and through the running light, or the turn signals, hence the glow here. So you know, it doesn't affect the running of the bike. And here the display, let me turn on the engine. See, the display works just perfectly. But somewhere there's a phantom current coming through the display, and I traced everything, and you know, what would happen is I traced all my wiring back. I pulled all my wiring apart to see if there were cross current coming through. And there's basically two sides to this side. There's the 72 volt side, and then there's a 12 volt side. Well, the 12 volt side should not be taking power from the 72 volt. There is no inverter in this, and yet there is a phantom current coming through it. So at first I thought it was the switch, so I checked that out, took it out, ran the multimeter on it. The switch was working fine. Then I went up here and I disconnected the power lead from the 12 volt side that was feeding the 12 volt, disconnected it, and then I put my multimeter on it, and I got I actually got current on this side where the power should be coming from the other side. So I traced that all the way up to the DKD speedometer, and then I traced my lines on my 72 volt side to see if they were connecting or shorting out in some fashion. But the kicker was I pulled everything off the front, and pulled the jack on the DKD. As soon as I pulled the jack, the kickstand stopped making noise. Everything that was bleeding stopped. So, and if it wasn't in the speedometer, then it would have to be that some of the lines from the 72 volt and the 12 volt were crossed over connecting. But the only time there's a problem, and the bike runs completely without the speedometer, so everything else works. I hook up my 12 volt side, turn signals work, everything works. It's just the odometer and speedometer and all that doesn't work. And so that leads me to believe that it's the speedometer. That's the only thing that I could seems to be the common denominator to it, and when I pull that, it shuts that lead down. I have nothing. Even when I put my my multimeter on the jack, like I would put it on the negative ground, and then I'd touch it to my headlight turn signal jack, or to the to the headlight jack or the turn signal jacks, nothing. I got nothing. But as soon as I plug it in, the you know, everything works. But you know, when I disconnect it, everything still works. But the display doesn't. You know, it doesn't display the turn signal. So anyway, I called up Electro and Company, and well, actually I called Nolan at Electro and Company, and I went over the whole thing with him, and he agreed, or you know, we decided that probably the best option would be replace speedometer and see what happens. Also, when setting the speedometer, I ended up with about a 30% faster reading than I was getting, and I took the bike out, which I don't have any footage of because, of course, my GoPro was supposed to be on video, and when you hit your bottom button, it actually changes, so it went to photo. So I ended up with an hour and something worth of photographs of the ride, which, you know, are basically useless for a video. So anyway, I took the ride. I did between 50 and 55 miles, and the bike ran absolutely amazingly. It was just so good. But yeah, my voltmeter was correct. My speedometer was off. My odometer was off. And you know, I calculated my circumference of my tire. I went through the whole thing, punched in everything, and I'm thinking that whatever is wrong with the with that phantom current is also affecting the speedometer. So I believe that there is a slight problem. Well, I'm pretty sure there's, you know, Nolan, you know, I explained to him exactly what was giving me trouble and how I punched in everything, and he said, no, it should read properly unless, you know, I miscalculated the number of teeth on my sprockets and stuff. I mean, it's possible, but I did mark the tooth on the sprocket and counted them. I've got 40 in the back and 13 up front, giving me a circumference of 2120 millimeters for the circumference of the tire, and with a gear ratio of 2.35 on the motor to 1, and a gear ratio on my back sprocket to front sprocket of 3 to 1. So you know, all that calculated in, put it into the odometer, and it came out, so it's reading off. So that leads me also to believe that there's something wrong with this odometer. So I called Nolan, and we sat down and hashed over the whole thing. And so he's sending me out a new unit, and with the issue with the bike, I was thinking if this phantom leak is something that's just, you know, maybe I did calculate the thing wrong for the DKD, but I don't think I did. But if I did, the phantom leak I may have to learn to live with, and if that's the case, then he sent me a 2-pole switch that I can put on the inline on the 72 volt side to be able to shut that down. So if you know, if that's the case, then I'm, you know, if I have to live with it, I'm going to go ahead and shut it down, because I definitely do not want that kickstand on when the bike's not on, because I need to be able to put the kickstand down and walk away from it. And clearly, that's not an option with this right now. Let's see. As you can see, I disconnected that switch and it's still. So, you know, I don't want any power being drained down. The battery, it looks like I'm probably using maybe a half a watt power for all that's running anytime. It doesn't seem to affect the battery. I mean, if it's a half a watt, even if it was a single watt in 24 hours, you're talking 24 watts in a battery that's oh shoots, I can't remember how many kilowatts this battery is. I believe it's just under 3. It's a 60 amp hour battery, so the ratio, I think it's 7.5 or 750 watts per amp hour. It's a 25,000 watt. Anyway, I can't remember right now, but I did calculate it out, and I think it's about a 3 kilowatt battery, something like that. So that's kind of where I'm at, and I'm real bummed that that damn camera did that. You know, I was reaching for my helmet, and I must have hit it, and it switched it over, so I lost a good hour and a half's worth of video. And it was a beautiful ride, beautiful day. Took off out of here, headed up the mountain, came back down, went up through Kula, and then out to Ulapalakua and then out to Kanaio and back. Since my speedometer wasn't working at the time, I went to Google Earth and Google, checked the distance. It said the fastest way from where I am to Kanaio was 23.4 miles, and that was if I went the fastest way, and I didn't. I took a long way around, so I'm figuring it's between 50 and 55 miles, which is not bad. I got back with about 1 bar left, and I probably could have made it to 60 miles. And just normal riding. I gunned it quite a bit. I was testing out the different gear ratios, and I didn't know if I had regenerative braking or not, but coming back and I was going downhill quite a bit, I noticed the bars started reappearing on the bike, and I'm going, oh, this is cool. So it does have regenerative braking, and I didn't have to use my brakes much. I just ran it off the regenerative braking, so it was pretty cool. It's just by throttle. You don't have anything specific to recoup the regenerative, and it's consistent throughout the 3 gears. And I did find out that I don't have reverse, although I could program it into the controller, but if I do that, then I lose one of the settings. So I didn't do that. Anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. I just wanted to bring you up to date on what was going on, and I will talk to you folks later. Hopefully I'm going to get the DKD speedometer Monday or Tuesday. I am working, so as soon as I get that hooked up and running, I'll let you guys know how that works out. But anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Aloha, and you guys have a wonderful day. Aloha.